can sell your policy, even a term policy, for an immediate cash payment.
We thought we had planned carefully for our retirement.
But we quickly realized we needed a way to supplement our income.
If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may qualify to sell your policy. Don't cancel or let your policy lapse without finding out what it's worth. Visit CoventryDirect.com to find out if your policy qualifies. Or call 1-800-515-4100. Coventry Direct, redefining insurance.
When you can't watch, listen. Get the latest news, business, and news headlines on SiriusXM.
It's ironic now to state the name of the organization you founded, given what we're watching go on, though I'm curious to hear your reaction of this consequential speech by the American president. Didn't run from it. He owned it. He owned his decision. He owned the fact that, as he put it, the buck stops with him.
I hope he gets to own their deaths too. I feel like I watched a different speech than the rest of you guys. I was appalled. There was such a profound, bold-faced lie in that speech. The idea that we planned for every contingency. I have been personally trying to tell this administration since it took office. I've been trying to tell our government for years that this was coming. We sent them plan after plan on how to evacuate these people. Nobody listened to us. They didn't plan for the evacuation of our Afghan wartime allies. They're trying to conduct it now at the 11th hour. The thing that they were most concerned about was the optics of a chaotic evacuation. Well, they got exactly what they were most concerned of by failing to do what was right when we could have done it. We had all the people and equipment in place to be able to save these people months ago, and we did nothing. I'm appalled that he thinks we only need to take 2,000 people. There's 86,000 people who are currently left behind in Afghanistan alone. We've identified all of them for the government. I have no idea why he claims that people don't want to leave Afghanistan. I have a list of 14,000 names right now of people who want to get out of Afghanistan. And the idea that the Afghan military should be blamed for this, do you know how many casualties the Afghan military took in an average year? More than the United States did in 20. When you're not getting paid on a regular basis, when you're not getting fuel, when no one is supplying you with ammunition, and yet you're still showing up to the fight, how dare us for having to blame these people for not having the audacity to be able to survive a Taliban onslaught? No. What we need to be doing right now, and what I am appalled that the president didn't say, was we need to be talking.
It's just a great experience. We are not a discount brokers. These are top local agents that'll get you the best results.
Mark Stein is a good friend of ours. We talk to him a lot, like twice a week on the show, but we hadn't talked to him at length in a long time until now. We spoke to him for a recent episode of Tucker Carlson Today about why the media in this country and the government have stopped representing the people who live here. And not surprisingly, he had a very smart response. Here's part of it.
American national government doesn't work because the congressional districts are now so populous that they don't represent the people. They represent the handful of players in each district who know how to get the guys on the phone. So it doesn't work. It doesn't work at the $7.8 trillion level, but it works. It still works.
Scale matters. Bigness is bad.
Yeah. And I think that the minute you have big government doesn't just mean big government. It means that it's no longer, at a certain point, it can no longer be represented.
Hey, by the way,
of the people. So if you have,
I appreciate
300 and something million under the congressional system.
If you want to throw some tips in there on the Twitch folks, thank you.
I would judge that federalism in India works better than federalism in the United States. But the minute you have these, don't forget, like the New Hampshire House has as many representatives, more or less, as the British House of Commons, and obviously for a 60th of the population, more or less. And that's so a representative there. If he doesn't necessarily know all the people he represents by name, he knows a significant chunk of them.
So you've lived all over the world, think you still may. I'm not going to ask you, but in the 5 years you've been doing our show, there's always a 2 or 3 month period where you disappear. There you go. We just get a call saying Mark Stead's not available for the next couple months. Where is he? I'm not going to say. So I'm not going to ask you now.
Yeah.
But I suspect
Actually, just around the corner from the Fox DC bureau, face down in Kirk but I try to make it sound as if, but I try to make it sound as if it's a little bit more exotic.
I suspect you're in foreign countries. That's what I've heard. I've never, again, because I'm interested, you just said, I'm not going to ask that. I have a lot of perspective on countries. I guess that's the point of it. What are the things that America should watch out for going forward? What are the real threats?
Well, just to say why that is, I think at a certain point you have to go and see places for yourself.
I absolutely agree.
And I think that's particularly true if you're in the media. I mean, you know that a lot of what the media do is phony. So 9/11 happens, and within 10 days, every commentator is an expert in the fierce push turn, go turn, and all that. And they heard the word push turn 10 days earlier, but now suddenly they have to appear as experts in it. And I never particularly care for that, so I like to go and actually get a grip on those places firsthand, which I always like to do, just to reassure myself. And then at this particular time, to go to sort of circuitously answer your question, my problem right now is that Western civilization is slightly off a cliff, and most people in the Western world aren't even aware of that, which is tragic. So how do you stop it if they're not even aware of it? And one thing I've noticed, and you travel to these places, that actually the Western world right now gets more west the further east you go.
That is so true.
At some point, American conservatism, which is desperately stale and tired at the official level, at the think tank level, and at the conservative magazine level, if you can still find one, has to actually confront that head on as to why they're having absolutely no. It's interesting, all the three phenomena of the pushback, the Tea Party in whatever it was, 2009, and then Trump in 2015, and now the people showing up at school boards and being mad over critical race theory. All these three phenomena have nothing to do with the conservative.
We say it so many times in Denver, just square it up. You don't have to be in pull mode. You square it up and out of the zone, and it will go. That one's right down the middle, and Connor Joe stays inside it, sends it the opposite way. Over the birdcage.
On chopper on the bat of Rogers up the middle. Here comes Cronenworth on the run and in time for out number one.
Defense for the Padres, left to right. Will Myers, Trent Grisham, Fernando Tatis Jr., his second start in right. On the infield, Manny Machado at third, Jake Cronenworth at short, Adam Frazier at the Keystone, and Eric Hosmer over at first. Austin Nola putting down sign for Ryan Weathers. Weathers and Nola, the battery for the Friars tonight.
Home run for Joe, 415 feet away. As Trevor Story is next with one out, bases empty. Story, who had a very slow beginning of the year, has picked it up quite a bit lately. 258 overall, 15 home runs, 54 runs batted in for the Rockies shortstop.
Dangerous count right here, 2-0 Story.
Ground ball hits a third, and Manny Machado's there for out number two.
Machado's a machine over there.
For a home run, 2 groundouts for Ryan Weathers, 2 down. We're talking about the success for the Rockies at home, historically bad on the road. Here's the breakdown at home. They're 38-21 on the road, 14-45.
Pitching staff, look at almost 3 runs difference in runs per game. The starter's ERA, I mean, the numbers are just mind-boggling. And we are August 16th. And once again, only 14 wins on the road for the Colorado Rockies. Yes, this is a 116th for the Rockies.
Averaging almost 6 runs a game at home. As Blackman taps one over to Hosmer over his Weathers, and he gets the foot down just in time for the out that ends the inning. A leadoff home run for Connor Joe as the Rockies on top 1-0.
Trev, thank you, dude. Thank you, bro. You're the man. Hey, Trev, I got an idea. Because you've been so cool. My aunt and a couple of my family members are going to be going to the Army-Navy game. If you want to go to Army-Navy this year, I think I'm going. I'll get you a ticket. And you can come down there and hang out with us. Yeah. It's really a great time. Oh, dude. Get this, and I told people this. I thought that game was the stupidest game of all time. And you know what? Next to the Super Bowl, and I would even say this, I have a funner time at the Army-Navy game. They fly me in for like Thursday and Friday and then the game on Saturday. So they fly me in for that. And I would say this to you. I have more fun in those 3 days than when I go to the Super Bowl. I'm not kidding. It's really a fantastic time. I mean, shit at the convention center is a blast. There's all kinds of goodies. Oh, dude, it's really. I'll get you on the field too. It's pretty fun. Now this is all now because of what's going on in Afghanistan. Get this, dude. When I went to when Trump went to the game, he went to the game a couple times. They had sharpshooters on the roof and everything. I met Trump there. Yeah. But he was sitting down. Yeah. I got a whole bunch of pictures of generals and stuff. He wasn't standing up. I asked my aunt today if he was a tall dude. She said, yeah.
First in slugging percentage, first in OPS. And he takes this one the other way. He tries to get from left center field.
Padres have Tatis and Wright. Dude, this Cronenworth is a pretty good ball player, isn't he? I don't even know where the Padres got him. That Cronenworth can play.
There's more acreage out there. And even though it's cut off, Jake could smell it too. And why not take advantage of that?
Hey, you see what's going on? Hey, how about Afghanistan? Oh, wow. What an absolute. So they get this. So they got Tatis Jr. in the James Shield trade to Chicago. And they got Cronenworth with the Hunter Renfroe deal. That's good, man. Chicago gave up Fernando Tatis Jr. for Hey, and I'm friends.
I think we've just seen the last 3 hits.
Wow. This kid's good, man.
Getting on top of that fastball. They play him the pole on the ground, but if the pitcher makes a mistake, he's all
Yeah,
over
that James Shields deal.
swing either on that pitch up and away to go to left field.
Hell, Chicago still may be paying him.
Swing and miss for since they included 7 of his
Yeah.
last 9
That was they had some years on that deal.
344 in the last 9 games.
I was great friends with James when he was in Tampa.
Slider kind of down and in. The left-handed hitter. Well, just a little game of pepper. Fly ball to the outfield. Everybody is back with the exception of the third baseman's man. Little ground ball.
Right in the spot at 336. And a check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. So Larry bent over.
Hosmer's a 305 guy, along with Machado.
Since the All-Star break, Hosmer has hit at 330.
That'll do.
Yeah.
Waiting on a 1-2 pitch with Cronenworth at third base. Now the check swing around, and coming from third is going to be Cronenworth to tie the game. It's a 1-1 to score as Hosmer.
Yeah, the deal's over.
Base on the strikeout.
Wow, James got 75.
Curveball in the
Yep.
dirt. Oh, he most definitely goes. Doesn't come up with
He
it.
got 75
Strike
million
3,
bucks.
hot potato. Everybody's on the move.
Wow.
He finds out, so he's got to go. Cronenworth, good secondary lead. Daylight, he will score.
Wow.
One off for San Diego.
James was good, man.
Scoring on the wild pitch.
Wasn't great,
Hosmer at first in a 1-1
but like threw 200 innings. A lot. I think he had 10 complete games one year.
Hauled off to the right on play.
I think when Will Myers comes up to the plate in Colorado, the outfield is going to take a step back or two because with the way he swings the bat there, he loves hitting.
Will Myers doesn't use batting gloves.
Side of his cycle. One strike to Myers.
Quickly.
On Friday night, first home run
I'll get there, dog.
that he hit back on July 17th at Washington. Career against the Rockies, a 336 hitter, BS over 1,000 against the Rockies. Leading off in strikeouts, however, 107 Ks this year. On the ground, down the third base line, a foul ball.
You know, we talked about the slider from sensitivity.
I don't answer to that bullshit.
Will Myers that is, and he's located
No.
very, very nicely.
Afraid not, Junior. No. Yeah. You have nothing that would make me do that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
On the ground, headed to shortstop, giving 2 to single one on the first, and it is 2. So the 6-4-3 twin Keelan.
Thank you for asking. It was outstanding, Junior. See, you're the guy that is you are expecting me to go like this. How was your weekend? But I'm not that guy because I don't really care. No, honestly, I mean, you're more of a. You're right. You know what? Way back hurts.
And during the Honda Summer Sales event, we can help you too.
Oh, God.
Get 0% APR financing on an award-winning Honda SUV like the 2021.
Sorry? Oh, okay. Was it RKO? Yeah.
But that one call got her to tell you paid her claim. And we even paid the
Did
strings.
hey, Howard Hughes didn't have anything to do with that, did he? Why do I think Hughes had something to do with that? I know he had there was like 5 or 6 movies he did. He did a Scarface movie. And he did, obviously, the one with Jane Seymour.
Welcome back, Padres and Rockies tied at 1. Ryan Weathers going out for his second inning of work. Now, in his previous 2 outings, we've talked about the challenges that he's had putting headers away with 2 strikes. But part of the reason for that has been the challenge with his slider. Here you see the numbers. Most season, he has been outstanding with that slider.
Dude's got nothing.
Only 145 against him with a 28% miss rate.
The Padres signed Jake Arrieta, and I'm like, Jake Arrieta, 20. No shit. 10 years ago, he was great. Now he's like another guy. Right. It's like signing Jake Peavy. Yeah, I'm like, dude. No, that's Hector.
Well, you know, it's a good question. Honestly, I can't answer that, but I tell you what, eagle eyes on every pitcher, every game, pitcher, coach, manager. They know the ins, the outs of these guys' tendencies. So
I think that's the guy before me, dog. I think you got the wrong dude.
Look over that stuff diligently each and every starts.
Ah, okay. Oh, yes. Oh, no doubt. That was terrible today. I mean, you would rather die like that. Actually, it started reminding me a little bit of the people jumping out of the building on 9/11. Correct. Thinking they'll make it. This is not just, I'm going to save it for the air because I got a nice little open here, but this is here. There's 2 things that will never be, 3 things that will never be ever in this country ever taken care of. Gun control, the border, and thinking you're the police officer of the Middle East. I don't care who you are. I think it's China, actually. Good evening, America, and I know you need big sales tonight. America's the greatest country on the planet. Don't ever let anybody ever tell you anything else. Do we make mistakes? We do. I always tell you when you come to our show that this is the happy hour of radio. And I totally mean this, that you get away from all the things that are going on in the world. And I was just talking to Chris O before we went live here. And we're talking a little bit about Afghanistan. And look, you can blame President Biden all you want. You can blame Trump. You can blame 41, 43. You can blame Obama. Yeah, if you want. Actually, you can go back to Jimmy Carter. I would say this about Carter, at least. Carter was put in that position. And Carter thought that because of being in that region, that he was going to have allies. This is something, folks, that has happened, and it goes all the way back to 1941, when we made a promise to every person in that region, when we were fighting the Nazis and fighting Rommel, that we promised that we would give them a state. We promised we would recognize them. I'm talking America. Instead, what did we do? In 54, we gave Israel a country, and we left them out in the cold. And as Chris O just said in my ear, in 80, we used the Taliban and we used all those fighters to push back the Russians in the Afghan-Russian war. Left them hanging again. How do you think Osama bin Laden was created? This is at the hands of America again. And we're doing the same thing, leaving those folks behind. Folks, it's not 2,000 people that we have to pick up. There's 87,000 people that are going to be left behind in Afghanistan that helped America fight Al-Qaeda. How crazy is this, though? Okay, as we're approaching 9/11, a hallowed day in this country's history, we're back to square one. That's a win. That's a win for Afghanistan, for jihad, for the Taliban. It's a win. They won. At the end of the day, they won. You know why? Just like everything else, you outlast America like they did in Vietnam, and you'll get the win. That's exactly what the North Vietnamese did. They knew America didn't have the stomach to stay in it for over 20 years. And that's the case. Changing administrations caused this too. Hey, by the way, this isn't just Biden. Hey, his exit sucked. It's no question that it lays at his feet. Okay? You know, I found a tweet by him also earlier in the year where he said he would never blame anyone else. He would always take accountability. Well, that didn't sound like that during that speech today. Okay? That didn't sound like it. And it's human nature to blame people. You know, and I said this to you last week. Okay? I said this to you last week. You know the cool thing about pro football coaches and coaches in general, or managers? You never hear them do this. Well, you know, the last coaching staff is the result of why we're in this position. I've never heard a coach who takes over for a losing franchise ever heard a coach blame the previous regime on why the team sucks so bad. That's the coolest thing about sports, because once you get the top billing as the head coach, you're accountable. You can't blame the previous regime. This is all about moving forward and going forward. But see, that's the problem with our politics. Now, do you feel safer today? Oh, and by the way, what's done in Afghanistan doesn't stay in Afghanistan. This thing will spread, and Americans, I never thought it'd be something that would be something that I'd have to be afraid of if I ever left our borders. I mean, being an American overseas, I don't know. Really. I don't know. It just seems completely incompetent. And I was saying this also prior to coming on the air here. You know what? There's three things we're never gonna fix the border situation. We're never gonna fix gun control, and we're never gonna fix being police officers in the Middle East. By the way, I don't have a problem with Biden and all the presidents wanting to get out of there. We're not police officers. I mean, state building? Who gave us that title? Who gave us that title that we had to go over there and think we were going to change the world? Afghanistan and Iraq. Those people are still in the same position that they were when they were serving the Ba'ath Party. You know what the Ba'ath Party is? It was an extension of the Nazi Party. You really think you were going to change ideology? Crazy. That's not knowing the room. Like, you know what changing the culture is? You know when sports teams and coaches go into a place and they always try to change the culture. You know how you change the culture? You change the way you do things. You don't keep ping-ponging and doing the same thing over and over. Here's something else too. And this is so sports related. You know, I kept hearing this all day long. Well, you know, the Afghanistan folks didn't want to fight. Do you know the people that they lost over there fighting? not getting paid all the time, showing up and dying. What a disgraceful comment that our commentators are making in this country. You have no idea the amount of Afghan army personnel that have given their life for nothing and basically not getting paid. The government never promised them that they would pay them on time. There were many times those guys never got paid. They were fighting for their country, and they died for their country. And let me throw this out at you. So we're supposedly the greatest evaluator. You know, this reminds me so much of like a personnel department in football. And I'm going to make the connection here for you. So do we not have the greatest army in the world, supposedly, right? The greatest army, the greatest jets, the greatest fighters, the greatest ships, right? So over 20 years of training people around the world, Navy SEALs even, the Rangers, our special forces, some of the greatest military people of all time. You're telling me, training people, you didn't know when you were in the room with the Afghan army that the majority of them wouldn't fight? Or were you pulling a rouge over on the American taxpayers so that you could keep something going that you knew inevitably would lose? That's how I feel as an American taxpayer, is that I was sold a bill of goods on something we were never going to ever exit correctly. And we kept this thing going and going. We spent $978 billion from 2001. And you know what we're doing now? Lowering the flag in Afghanistan. Watching people fall from an airplane as they cling to try to get out because they know what's in store for them with the Taliban. We got women and children now who are in fear of their life because they will be put in slavery. We're back to normal. Well, we're back to the Taliban's normal. What did we win? They dropped the buildings. How embarrassing. Has to be one of the most embarrassing moments in United States military history is how we did this whole thing. Our politics caused this failure. People in Washington, remember I told you they don't represent me any longer. You know what they're fighting? January 6th. What else is it? Talking about race relations. Didn't I hear the guy who leads the United States military? He's talking about, what is it? Whites and how they're entitled in the military. Doing all that. And get this, Al-Qaeda is gaining a footprint. And they have a country now again. Think of that for a minute. We're sitting around, jacking around here, talking about things that do not matter. Those people dropped a building. You know why this matters to me? I had a friend who was killed on 9/11. He worked for Cantor Fitzgerald. Left a message with his family and said, please make sure everybody understands that I can't get out of here. Went to school with the kid. And when those buildings fell, my friend fell to his death. And here we are again. Congratulations. We accomplished. Here, I'll take it back. We did kill Osama bin Laden. But you know what happens when you kill Osama bin Laden? The next guy steps in. It wasn't about killing Osama bin Laden. It was about killing a culture. We needed to eradicate the culture, not the people. The people, they're interchangeable. They're like chess pieces. When you have that kind of conviction, I want to tell you this. Think about this for a minute here. When you have the onions to train people, put them in a foreign country, let them grow inside the communities, and those people become the people that fly those planes into the building and into the Pentagon. And if it wasn't for those brave Americans, who knows? Maybe Congress, maybe the White House that other plane was heading for. Okay? If it wasn't for those brave Americans, God knows what would have happened with that. When you're willing to do that, you're willing to do whatever it takes to have your cause. And in my opinion, those people cannot be reasoned with. America hates to get in the gutter. Those folks will wait in the gutter and wait you out, just like the North Vietnamese did. I posted a picture on my Twitter page of 1975 Saigon when we were airlifting people out and personnel that was helping the American soldiers and statesmen that were in South Vietnam. And guess what? It looked the same. 2021 and 1975. It was the same. Almost the same exact picture. And what did we accomplish here? American lives? God forbid, too, man. How about the men and women that served in Afghanistan? Gee, I mean, hey, I'm not blaming one administration here. I'm blaming them all. I'm blaming how we do business. Our culture is if this was a football team, we need a new coach to come in. And you know what we do? We need to start doing things the right way. Trump was onto something. It's got to be America first. Hey, I don't have a problem, just like the polls say, with us being out of Afghanistan. But there's a way to do things. Did you really have to telegraph on dates? Well, we're going to come out of here and we want to be out by September 11th. Dude, nobody cares about anniversary dates around the world, especially when you're a terrorist. You think they sit around going, oh, it's Christmas. So, yeah, we're not going to bomb them on Christmas. You ever hear of the Tet Offensive? They don't care. This whole thing today, just listening to people, just point fingers at other people. This is a culture in our government that caused this. It's like on a team. The Jets suck because the Jets suck because they have forever. We bitch and argue over the dumbest things in Washington. And you know what? This is how people like Al-Qaeda, and this is how people like the Taliban. This is how they get a foothold in things. What a shame. Absolutely. Thank God for sports. We had a bunch of it over the weekend. We'll get into it. I want to talk a little bit about Megan Rapinoe. She bullied people on the U.S. soccer team. We'll do that next. You keep it here on the Dan Sileo Show. Again, no, dude. It's again, no, dude. It's not him. It's not just him, man. But do we have to telegraph it? Right. Afghanistan said no. Yes. Hey, who do we have today? Okay, good. Sorry, I forgot. No, I agree with you. 100%, dude. It's not. Andrew Cuomo. Hey, just in the nick of time, Afghanistan for Andrew Cuomo. Thank you very much, Trevor. Trevor liked my intro. See, he echoed me just now. You know, my wife brings a great point up about America, though. Remember, America shouldn't be very up and holy over things because we are the only country in the world to drop an atomic bomb on another nation. These people in Washington, man, they argue over the worst things and the wrong things all the time. Thank you, Stephen. Does everyone like my intro? That's so fucked up. That's right. When those buildings fell, they were in charge of Afghanistan and they were harboring terrorism, and they still are. That is so sad. Oh yeah, these guys are going to be. There's going to be a lot of beheadings, and get this, they're going to put those things as every single place that they possibly can. I know. Yeah. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. You know, when you come on the Dan Sileo show, you're going to get what's going on in the world, sports and politics. I guess that's why we're different than everyone else, because people get afraid. I was on the air when 9/11 happened. My wife was my producer, and we were on another national network when I was broadcasting. And I saw these planes smash into these buildings. I first thought it was a commuter plane. It's funny, what I'm watching now live on television, it's reminding me of 9/11. 20 years ago, the Taliban were harboring terrorist groups in Afghanistan. And guess what? They still are. Okay? No, they are harboring in that country now. Jihad and the Taliban are terrorist groups, and there'll be other terrorist groups in that building. In that country. We got Osama bin Laden. True. But like I said in the last segment, he's a pawn. Dude, you know how many Osama bin Ladens there are in that region? Hundreds of people that have an angst towards America for the way we've acted in that region. We have no right to go into another country and tell people how to live their life. We have no right to do that. We think we're the police officers of the world. Well, this bit us again. We thought the same thing in North Vietnam. Dude, this is an L. I don't care how you look at it. You could justify it. Well, we killed Osama bin Laden. I don't know. Why do I not feel safer today than I did 5 years ago? I don't feel safer today. I don't. Sports was something that brought us together. I was telling you, I was on the air 9/11. And I remember when we started talking football, and I remember when the NFL came back. I remember when the Yankees, was it Yankees and Mets? Was it 43 that threw out the first pitch? Oh, Arizona, that's what it was. You're right, Chris O. Game 3 in the Bronx, that's right. That was a spectacular United States moment. I love that moment, and I will always love that moment. I'm, absolutely, and that's exactly correct. What we are right now. I think America took a shot in the ribs over the weekend. I think we took a shot in the ribs. But here, I'm not going to do what everyone else does. You know what that is? I'm not going to keep talking about the doom, the gloom. I'm going to talk about what makes America great. And you know what makes America great? It's not our politicians. It's you and me. It's you and me. I'll explain. We'll do it next. You keep it here on the Dan Sileo Show. Chris, stop doing that. Yes, you can. Don't be not emotional. Jesus criminy, man. I want emotion. Are you kidding? Who wants to hear a textbook? Wow, and you're a nonviolent guy. Oh, right, I hear you. Of course. No way. No way. America's too great for that. No. When that person fell from the tire of that jet when they took off, I thought of people jumping out of the 98th floor at the Trade Center. That you felt that you were so desperate that you'll do anything to try to save your life. Yes. What? Oh, we'll do that. Oh my God, let me tie that in. It's a great transition. Yep. Okay. I watched all of it. Where was Ray Liotta too? He was brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it. You're just rambling. I love it. It's okay. You must have been. What's I don't know what you're doing. Okay. Okay. And just tell me when to go. Okay. No, 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 no. Let me put it to you this way here. Let me just say this to you. That game last week, the Field of Dreams game, was the highest rated Major League Baseball game in 16 years. Why do you think? See all the things that James Earl Ray was saying there from Field of Dreams? James Earl Jones, excuse me. Do you know what that represented? It represented passion. It represented father and son, memories that we all revere and hold close to us. Baseball did that for us. Sports does that for us. If you looked at that game last week between the Yankees and the White Sox and just saw it as a game, that was one of the greatest sequels I've ever seen to a movie. It was so cool. And by the way, Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, thank you for saying that you're going to go back to Iowa again. You did something cool. You did something that Americans connected with. Baseball has had such a major problem over the last 20 years on connecting with their fans. That's why people are leaving the sport. That's why the average age is 54 years of age. Because you're so stuck in, well, this is how we used to do it back in the old days. Nobody cares about that today. They want to be inspired. Shohei Ohtani inspires you. What a great face of baseball. I don't care what Stephen A. Smith says. That game was absolutely a gem. And the way it ended, the way it started, Costner was brilliant. And you know what? It wasn't that he was selling you anything. Didn't he just come out and it was something that really meant something to him? That movie means something to him. All the great movies that he's done, you know why it means something to him? Because I heard him talking in the pregame show on Fox. He says that everybody, All the movies he's done, it's one of the top 3 movies everybody always mentions, Field of Dreams. My dad and I went out and had a catch after we watched the movie. That makes you think of all the great things about this country. Right there. Our greatest asset is our people. You know, I'm not going to stay in the gutter. That gutter being Afghanistan. I'm going to think about the great things that I saw like last week. And what that game meant. It was so cool. You had me watching it. You know, last time I watched a 9-inning ball game, I can't remember. Maybe the playoffs last year. Okay? Maybe the playoffs. I've been keeping an eye lately on the Padres because they've been kind of fun to watch. But last year, probably the playoffs, World Series. Watch a 9-inning ball game. That was so great. They got it right. They did something that the fans wanted. Why do you think, again, we listen to our favorite songs over and over and over, or we watch our favorite movies over and over? Because it makes us feel good. America needs to feel good right now. I was watching sports all weekend long, and I was going back and forth and watching the debacle that was going on in Afghanistan. But you know what I kept going back to? I kept going back to sports. Baseball, football games were being played. It took me away from that. And you know what else it made me think? Thank God, this country, we can play sports and not have to worry about somebody attacking a stadium. We're going to sit around and watch football. We're going to debate about quarterbacks. We're going to talk about some of the great moments that we have had in American sports. We had one last week with the Field of Dreams game. I can't wait to see that game. I'm hearing it's going to be Cubs next year. Wouldn't that be awesome to have Cubs and Cardinals at that game? Or Cubs and Pirates? Talk about old school. I mean, really? Or how about Cubs and Red Sox? I mean, hey, Cubs and Reds want to go back old to the Red Legs. Fine. Imagine the uniforms that you could put on those 2 teams. Holy cow, man. How about Cubs and White Sox? Do that, man, for that whole region. I love the fact also that they put the Black Sox uniforms on the Chicago White Sox players. Do you know how that would never have flown 30, 40 years ago? Baseball would never have done that because that's a tarnished moment in the history of the game. Okay, think about that for a minute. You know what's funny? People want to put asterisks on Barry Bonds' home runs, but no one ever said about putting an asterisk on the 1919 World Series when everybody knows that they threw the series against the Reds. There's no asterisk on that. The Reds have the win with no asterisk, but you want to put an asterisk on Barry Bonds or some of the other juicers that were during that era, the steroid era. How crazy is that? We know because Happy Chandler suspended all these games like Shoeless Joe and all these guys, Kid Carson, all them guys. And we don't put an asterisk on that series. To see that uniform, I was floored. Wow, baseball did something cool. And by the way, they were dope. I loved them. They looked great. It was a great moment last week. God, we need this big time. Man, this fall and right now in our country, we need sports to take our minds off of what's going on. America will always rise above because the greatest asset, as I said, is the people that we have in this country. I get to sit around and talk sports. I get to sit around and debate. But you know me, I bring up what's going on. Are we down a little bit right now? Maybe. But it won't be for long. We'll rise above, just like we did in 9/11 and just like we did on December 7th. Those days were the finest. You want to know something? September 12th, 2001, and December 8th, 1941, were America's greatest days. You know why? We had conviction on what our cause was to defend our country. There was clarity. There was pride. You were proud to be an American. Our greatest generation were the same people that stormed the beaches at Normandy. Our greatest people were the people that were running back into those buildings. Pat Tillman putting his NFL contract away to go fight in Afghanistan, where he died. Circumstances not getting into. He still served our country, in country. That's the best of America. That's the best. I was telling my friend Trevor, who's on our Twitch channel now here watching us, that I'm going to Army Navy this year. It's one of the greatest things of all time. I used to think that game was the dumbest game on the planet. 200-pound offensive lineman, defensive lineman. These guys aren't going anywhere. Then I went to the game for 10 straight years. And it's truly the last greatest college football game that we play in this country today. It's the last true one. You know why? These men and women that are there parading and go through the parade, and then the guys that play on the field, these guys get ready for combat. These guys join and do their military service right after they get done playing that Army-Navy game. These guys go into communities and serve communities. These are the greatest Americans that we have in our country and playing this game. When you go through the walkthrough and you're there at an Army-Navy game, it's spectacular. You see Asian, blacks, Hispanic, whites, all kinds of people with West Point and Naval Academy. It's freaking spectacular. Really is spectacular. It's emotional when you're out there watching it. And then when moments like we saw this weekend, that's why I do this. You know, it's funny. My guy Chris is upset, and I know a lot of people who are. But you know this, man. Our country's too great. Our people are too great. No politician will hold us down. Nobody else will hold us down. It's not going to happen. We fight for freedom. We fight to be able to talk sports. We fight for all the things that some people take for granted in this country. Try going to another. Did you see those people climbing the fences that had barbed wire on them at the airport? Trying to get to America. Think about that for a minute. With all the things that people say about America in this country, funny, we trash our own selves more than other people around the world do. What's the flag that the freedom fighters in China, what's that flag they wave? They wave the American flag. That guy was hanging on by that tire of that airplane because he was trying to get to America. Why do you think people are on the border? Because they want to come to America. Because they know it's the land of the free. We have freedoms here that nobody has in this country or in this world. Nobody. You don't have them in Russia. You don't have them in China. Do you know that that's why Russia and China are so jealous of us? It's not because of our military. It's not because of our history. It's not because of our wealth. It's because of our freedom. People are jealous of our freedom. And I don't think people understand that. You think it's really because of our military prowess? It's our freedom they are envious of. Chinese citizens don't have it. Russian citizens don't have it. Think the Pakistanis have it? You know this now. Afghanistan's don't. The Afghani people don't have it. Iraqis don't have it. We have it. That's why people hate America and are jealous of us. I get to come on the radio. I want to tell you something, too. I heard this before, and I'm sure my guy Chris O has heard this. Do you think the things that I'm saying on the radio right now, I could say in Afghanistan, Iraq, Russia, China? I wouldn't even make it to the end of the broadcast. They cut the line, they come and get me, and guess what? I'd be in some camp somewhere. I'm hoping That's what makes this country so great. You know, we're talking about sports and we're talking about representing our country. Here, I'll give you something that I kind of teased. So Megan Rubino, and it just shows you again here. I'll show you how fake this whole thing is with her. So it's being reported now, and Outkick reported this, that she bullied her teammates into taking a knee during the Olympics, and that many players on the team didn't want to do it. She bullied them into it. That's something right there where that happens in other countries. That happens in other countries. If I was on that team, you're not making me do that. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. And now I know why Subway yanked their sponsorship and endorsement of her. This is not a country where you can bully people. Because when we find that out, we'll bully you. Not cool. Not cool. All right. Some really great storylines over the weekend in the NFL. I'll tell them to you next. By the way, Kurt Warner today. Keep it right here on the Sileo Show. James Earl Ray, who shot MLK. James Earl Ray. Jesus. Wow, is that a what's this? Wow, is that really a name from the past? So, Dan, James Earl Ray was in Field of Dreams. No, that was his cousin. Jesus criminy. Oh, man. Thank God no one can hear you. There you go again. That's the second time you said that to me, Junior. I'm not. I corrected it. He was also Darth Vader. He was also Mao Zedong in Conan. Yes. Yeah, let me do that. That's a great call. Thank you. Yep. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Jesus Christ, you don't make a mistake around here. Wow, man. Hey, now I know what it feels like to be Joe Biden. Oh, man. Hey, don't forget, do me a favor. Check out our good friends at podcasterwarehouse.com. headphones, earbuds, anything you need when it comes to building your home studio. You have it there at podcasterwarehouse.com. Look, promo code is Sileo, S as in Sam, I-L-E-O. That's S as in Sam, I-L-E-O. 25% off of everything. That's there. Free shipping. You can spend as much as $5 to $5,000. Podcasterwarehouse.com. That's podcasterwarehouse.com. That game was pretty cool, that Field of Dreams game. You know, the World Series game, too, the Game 3 against the Arizona D-backs when we came back from 9/11. Aren't those great think about some of the great signature moments. You know, one of the regrets that Pete Rozelle had, he thought he shouldn't have played the weekend of NFL football that JFK was killed. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think JFK was killed on a Thursday in 60. It was Friday, okay? And so you got to remember, okay, there was football going on during this time. And Rozelle's biggest regret was, he's like, maybe we shouldn't play. And I'm under the impression that John F. Kennedy would have wanted us to play. JFK would have wanted us to play. Because those are the things that I was talking about. Those are the things that make our country great in how we can have a normalcy, even through tragedy. And Rozelle went back and forth on that. He really did. There were a lot of players who didn't want to play. They were devastated, obviously. President of the United States, murdered the way he was. Circumstances around it. Time of the country where we were at with the Cold War and our issues with Cuba. All of that were going on during that time. It's funny. People always look at our time right now and go, gee, this got to be the word. I don't know. There were other times in our great country's history that we had to go through adversity. And America pulled themselves through it. And there was sports again, pulling us through it. How about Ted Williams fighting in 2 wars, World War II and Korea? Same thing with Joe D. Same thing with all those great baseball players back in the day. All going and fighting. When they say it's the greatest generation, I have to agree. Those guys were spectacular. They loved our country. Not any less than the men and women that went and fought in Afghanistan. It's funny. There's so many things going on in the world of sports, but Chris is right. Got to pull ourselves out of that, what's going on across the pond and over in the Middle East. I saw some great things over the weekend. I saw young players. Think of this. You go from watching that to watching a young kid like Justin Fields playing football, and his only concern is making it to the starting lineup as the Chicago Bears starting quarterback. Think about that, for instance. You go from watching that to tuning it on, and you're watching something like a football game to take your mind off of the things that are going on overseas. Beautiful. Beautiful. We need distractions in this country. And I'm not talking about the news. Okay? I'm not talking about the news. I'm not talking about guys giving spins on it. You know what's the most aggravating thing? Is listening to a guy like Brian Williams. Okay? Brian Williams, I'm surprised that he didn't come up with that. He was flying the chopper over there in Kabul and getting those people off the roof the way he lied in the past. Guys, I don't know how he's on the air. Honestly, have no idea how that guy's on the air. This guy's telling you about like Black Hawk Down, and he's hanging off the gunnery thing there, shooting down on people. I was like, they went like this. He was never in it. And I'm like, wow. And he's still doing the news. Why do you think Lester Holt does the main news? Brian Williams is very talented, by the way. He's very talented. He's just a liar. But then again, he fits right into today's media. Does he not? I swear to you, we're going to get into sports and we're going to get away from that, okay? because there were a lot of great storylines. Kurt Warner, the legendary Hall of Famer, will join us in hour number 2. We'll reset and keep it right here on the Dan Sileo Show. Be right back. Wow, that really hurt. Yes. Who's that? Yeah, but they hate Americans more. After what the Trump administration did to Iran, dude. Great world we're in right now. I'm sorry? No. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. We welcome you aboard. Hey, if you're watching us also on our platforms, social media, our Twitch, our YouTube, if you're streaming us with our friends at USA Radio Networks, we welcome you aboard. And if you are airing us in one of the fine cities around the country, we thank you so much for making us part of your lineup. And we really appreciate being part of your family, being part of your community. You know, I want to take a page out of Laura Ingraham in what she said about LeBron James. Just shut up and dribble. See, this is where I kind of agree with LeBron James when it comes to talking about things that are going on in the world. Is it our responsibility as journalists, no matter what your platform is, should you just ignore what's going on in the world just so that you can talk about your By the way, there's a part of me that does this. Remember something, that I got all over the NBA about last year? Remember they were talking about, helping Biden become president, mail-in voting and all this stuff, and they weren't really telling you, but they were telling you. I'm talking the NBA on voting for Joe Biden. It's one of the reasons why their ratings just went through the roof. And I'm talking, actually, I should say through the floor. Lost like 45% of their total viewership since 2017. Remember what I was saying about that during that time? Nobody tunes on shows. And nobody tunes on to hear your political views. I'm not really giving you a political view. I'm giving you more of a temperature of how I feel, because I don't believe there's any true result that you can get on how that could have looked any better over the weekend. I mean, I don't know how we could have pulled out any better. Maybe not telegraph it as much, sending smoke signals to the Taliban. Okay, probably so. That's Monday morning quarterbacking, once again, right? Everybody's an expert today. There is a poll out there that says that 75% of Americans, that's you and me, who listen to our show and talk sports, and I'm in that group, by the way, that don't want us there. Actually, I never wanted us in Afghanistan. America first. I've always, hey, if you want to take that as a Trump stump moment, sure, I agree with that. I think about our country first, our citizens, our homeless, our freedoms. Those are important to me. The things that I get to do every night here, Monday through Friday, and talking to you about sport, these are freedoms that I don't take lightly. I just can't sit around talking about Trevor Lawrence's quarterback rating now. When I saw a guy fall from an airplane because he was clinging to life to try to get to America. What kind of guy would that make me? Now, there's another part of me that says, now, wait a minute. They tune on this show because we call it the happy hour and the social, you get an opportunity, it's the happy hour of radio here to get away from that. So I understand that. I think there's a balance though. Do you agree? We know what's going on. By the way, I am not going to sit here and tell you that Joe Biden is completely at fault here. I don't believe that. I believe it's like a culture, as I said before, it's a culture inside our government, like a culture inside of a football team that just constantly gets in its own way. It's a culture that just trips over itself. Doesn't matter who the coach is. Yeah, how many teams? Can you name me a team? Let's do this for a second. It really doesn't matter who the coach is. It's like the Jets. Does it really matter if it's Robert Saleh, if it's Todd Bowles, if it's anyone who's ever coached, Rex Ryan, who's ever coached the Jets? They suck anyway. It's a culture in the building. It's leadership. Leadership bleeds down. I heard everybody blaming the president of the United States. You know who I blame? I blame the Pentagon. What crap were you feeding the president? Or, excuse me, what crap were you feeding the presidents to keep your little war going? This is the same stuff we did in Vietnam to keep that thing going. Why? Retooling the military. Military budget goes up. Creates more jobs in the military. And for what? A no-ending war with no result and no conviction on what the clarity of victory is. Like I said in sports, there's a scoreboard. Thank God. In something like that, us fighting in Afghanistan, there's no scoreboard. There's no scoreboard. Absolutely no scoreboard in something like that. I thought we went over there to get Osama bin Laden. And we did. Chris O said it to me a couple minutes ago. We should have pulled out then. That's the perfect way to leave that place. We got him. We leave. Goodbye. Instead, we turned it into a state building or something that we're not capable. It's like the NFL. When something happens in the NFL, all of a sudden they turn into like a, they're all of a sudden they're marriage counselors. When there's like domestic violence, they turn. This is kind of what I'm talking about. They turn into domestic violence, or a guy has a drug issue. All of a sudden he's a drug abuse guy and he understands drug abuse. You're a football team, dude. You're a football league. You're not marriage counselors. Stop acting like it. That's where you get, isn't it where we get in trouble as a country? Sports gets in trouble as leagues when we start getting into politics and we start thinking that we think we have to live for other people, or we have to tell them how to live their life. The pulling of the All-Star game out of Atlanta was so dumb. The Major League Baseball became a political activist group. Why? They don't go to Major League Baseball games to watch your politics. But you know what we all do as fans? Chris O and I, you know what's cool about Chris tonight? This is what Chris has been talking to me about. The Field of Dreams game. Joey Gallo hitting a home run. Yankees winning, and talking about what's going on overseas in Afghanistan. That's a sports fan. That's a P1, as we call them in our business, sports fan. He talks about what's going on in the world. He also does this, though. Hey, man, the Yankees won tonight. Also said something about the Field of Dreams game. Those are things that stick out because you know why? Those are things that made him feel good compared to what was going on when he tuned on the news. Or, you know, he's one of our major VPs at USA Radio Network, just so you know. And he's got to hear all the shows talking about it. It's got to be mind-numbing after a while, hearing people just talking about, you know, gloom and doom. Because that's what it looked like. But he knows, like everyone else, America doesn't stay down. We're not like the Jets. We pull ourselves up and we rise from the ashes like a phoenix. This country has always done that. I'm completely convinced we will again. Our greatest days are so ahead of us. It always is. Your greatest days in your life are ahead of you. I know mine are. You know what I have coming up? Watch this. How that is so affecting our American psyche. Think about what Americans have gone through, and think about what people like Russia and China are thinking about us right now. I want you to understand. This is like how a team that you're going to play thinks about a team that maybe went through a big time loss. China and Russia are watching us. We just come out of a pandemic. I don't know who started it. Does it really matter right now? Let's just get through it, right? Then we can start blaming people. Let's get through it first. I see that's where we're missing, and there's the clarity that we're missing. I don't care who started it right now. I care we end it. Then we'll blame people. You can't blame people while it's going on because then you lose sight of ending it. Who cares who gets the credit, too? This is about us, not about political politics in Washington. That's, again, how they miss this. Think about Russia, and they're watching us. Then we see this. Completely everybody around the world is hanging L's on us right now. Our second war we lost. By the way, in a row. In a row. Oh, give me Grenada. In a row. This is the second one. Okay? Remember? Hey, Desert Shield, Desert Storm? Really? Those were nice beginnings. Thank you, General Schwarzkopf. That's not how it quite ended. September 11th, the same people in power are in Afghanistan again. Like I said, okay? Let's get through this. Then you can make the blame. But think of what people are thinking about us. Oh, Americans are down right now. They got an issue at the border, too. They don't know how to fix that. Now they're pissing all over Joe Biden. They just threw out Trump. He was a cancer to many people. Now Biden's screwing up. That's what they're saying. I'm not saying it. And then guess what? Just like a sports team. Like when we used to play against teams that had massive losses, we would lay it on them too. Hey, they're not the same team they used to be. Hey, guess what? That team, we would hear it all the time too when people would do that to us too. We go out there and beat the piss out of you. Don't think we're gonna see. You're either gonna stand up or you're either gonna bow or you're gonna take a knee. There's very few things you can do here. What are you gonna do as an American? Are you gonna stand up for what's right? Are you gonna stand up for our country? Are we gonna continue to battle over things that are so dumb? Are we going to continue to divide our country and allow people to divide our country like the media? Media and politicians are the worst thing in the world right now for us. They really are. And I'm part of that. Chris is right. We should be inspiring one another to show the true great side of Americans. All of our beautiful freedoms we have. Being able, do you know how crazy it is? I don't think people realize this. If you've been overseas, just to pick up your phone and make a phone call? That's not, that doesn't happen in other countries. You get your phones monitored in other countries, like China and Russia. You have people spying on you. You know who the Stasi are? The Stasi were people that were in East Germany, and it was the secret police. Do you know that people used to spy on family members that lived in the same house? Yes. Our country's too good for that. Really are. I am going to talk about a few stories that I saw over the weekend that inspired me. I love them too. It's about young players fulfilling a dream. We'll do it next. You keep it here on the Sileo Show. Who? Never. Yeah, my hero. I don't look up to short arms. No. Yeah, okay, well. Ask him why he doesn't have a tail this week. Just like a salamander, I ripped it off him. Yeah, thank you. Oh boy, that guy's like, he's such a liar. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Never. Right, correct. He knows better. He knows I'll drown him like I did his dad. Yeah, well, don't worry. I smashed his brains in. I did. I drowned him. What? Oh, well, they name an island after me. You know what they name after him? A pond. A volcano. Oh, he's a blonde too, by the way. Okay, that won't be forgotten, I guess. I doubt it. James Earl Ray. Jesus Christ. I didn't know he was in Field of Dreams. He was a guy in a tower. Yeah. How come the lights don't work? Guy's quite a sniper. Too soon. I went by his grave in Dallas. I think it's up near Arlington, actually. Yeah, me too. Didn't he have two of them? Yeah, no, she's still alive, and the two daughters too. I would say this to her. Hey, how's Cuba? Absolutely not, Junior. Ask Godzilla. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Kurt Warner will join us at the bottom of the hour. Dak Prescott, over the weekend, the Dallas Cowboy quarterback was asked questions about his shoulder, and very cryptic are the Cowboys right now. He's doing real good. We got the second MRI back. And, he's going to be ready to rock and roll here. And you're like, I don't want to see that guy play 1 second in the exhibition season. You got a shoulder injury, and you're paying that guy $42 million a year? No, thank you. I would say this to you. If you see Dak Prescott, there's something wrong with the Dallas Cowboys. He's the second highest paid player in the league. He's the most important player the Cowboys have. Cowboys, how about this? They don't have him on that football field this year going into the 2021 season, especially early on. Cowboys won't win 5 games. They have to have him. That was one of the storylines that came out of the weekend. The other ones were the young quarterbacks that took the field. I wrote a list down here of the guys. Trevor Lawrence for the Jags. I thought Trevor was pretty decent. I didn't think it was a great outing. Then again, I didn't think Urban Meyer really did that great a job at preparing that football team. It looked like a little bit of chaos. When I watched Nick Sirianni of the Eagles a couple, days ago, his football team looked like they were organized. They understood timeouts. Sideline had a lot of, there was a lot of structure to it. I just didn't think Urban Meyer just looked like he was everywhere. That team did not look good. And Trevor Lawrence didn't look good. That'll be the big issue with him. Number 1 overall pick out of Clemson. Will he get the proper coaching? In Jacksonville, he was 6-9, 71 yards. He had 2 sacks. First play of the game, he actually gets sacked. I thought Mac Jones, kid from Alabama, I thought he played well. 13-19, 87 yards. He was sacked 1 time. Again, you know why these guys are getting sacked as young players? Because they have tunnel vision. You don't see the whole field. You're seeing the field through binoculars, which means you don't have peripheral vision yet, which means you're not an experienced player yet. That'll come with reps. I think he's a fine player. He may have the most success of all the young rookie quarterbacks, though. I actually like him. I think it would not shock me if the Patriots won 11 ball games with him. Zach Wilson, the kid from the Jets, you know what he showed me? He's a little small, but 6'9". I think he had 63 yards, 86.8 quarterback rating. He showed me he can make all the throws. And I don't know. Will the Jets give him good coaching? Trey Lance, this kid looks like he needs a lot of work. 5 of 14, 128. He had 4 sacks on him in that game over the weekend. 93.7 quarterback rating. A guy looking at the game through binoculars. He is a project. If Trey Lance starts a game this year for the 49ers, that football team is a non-playoff team. He has got a long way to go. And you know who the guy that I ripped and a guy that I said that may not be able to make it in the NFL? You know who I said? I said Justin Fields. 14-20, 142 yards, 106.7 in quarterback rating. I thought the kid looked damn good. I was impressed. Actually, I was impressed with all of these kids. I was impressed with all of them. Hey, don't forget, by the way, real quick here, podcasterwarehouse.com. Gamers, people building home studios, this is your one-stop place. 25% off everything. Use the promo code Sileo, S as in Sam, I-L-E-O. That's podcasterwarehouse.com, podcasterwarehouse.com. NFL Hall of Famer Kurt Warner will join us. We'll talk to the legendary QB next. Oh, good. Okay. I'll be right back. What? Thank you. Fox News. Gonna be a dissertation. Merry Christmas, mother. I gotta have my Ben Franklin.
I mean, seriously.
I like your way of thinking, though.
That's my name.
Yeah, see, that's why you're a G. My wife, boy, I'll tell you, if she was ever running America, there'd be no issues in law and order. You know, they're going to name a mountain range after me one day. No, it's Mount Big Sills. No, it doesn't faze me, man. Because again, I'm gonna pull a Nixon on you. You see, for you, don't ever think that you've upset me in any way. You see, you have to respect the ones that are criticizing you for you to be upset. Can you believe Nixon said that to the media, guys? Hey, but get this, I think it was one of the greatest goofs of all time. I mean it. I know, man. My God, I used that, and I'm like, holy shit, it's really true, though. What are you going to say, brother? It was reporting on the death of Tony Gwynn. You know why? Because it was about talking about people in San Diego that were just showing up to gas stations and Tony saying hi, or Tony in a burrito shop buying a family burritos. Everybody called that day to remember Tony Gwynn. And you know what? Get this, a little 5-year-old kid called in, or 7-year-old kid called in and goes, I wear number 19 in my Little League because Tony Gwynn, and he started crying on the air. And I was like this. I go, that community loved that guy so much, and it was all generic. I just loved it. Okay, I'm going to tell you an Ernie Harwell story. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. By the way, thank you, Kurt Warner, for coming aboard. Chris just mentioned the great Ernie Harwell to me. I'm going to give you guys a couple names here who were my broadcasting heroes. And I had a chance to talk to each and every single one of them. So Ernie Harwell was clearly one of them. And I'm going to tell you a cute story about him. I want to write it down here. But Kurt Gowdy, oh God, did I love the old cowboy. He called Red Sox games on radio, called the AFC games for NBC, called all the major Super Bowls. What a great voice. Had a chance, I had the old cowboy on my radio show years ago. And he just said the same thing that I do each and every single night. I'm just me. Take me for what that means. I've learned that over the years from these great guys. I had Howard Cosell on my show once. Cosell hated people like me. He hated former athletes that went on the air. As much as that great team worked with Gifford and Cosell and Meredith, he despised athletes being on the air. But you know what? I revered him because that guy was truly a guy who revolutionized broadcasting. He became a gigantic personality, just a huge. And another guy was Mel Allen. I became friends with Mel Allen. I want to tell you the Ernie Harwell story now. So I got a chance to have Ernie Harwell on my radio show. And he was telling me about broadcasting the Tiger games for all those years. And I said, Ernie, I used to listen to you. One of the big signature things that you did each and every single night, that you called those great Tiger games, the Norm Cash games, Al Kalines and all that. And he goes, I go, but you would always go, there's Cindy from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Or hey, look at Mary Jo. She brings me cookies every single day from Detroit, every time she comes to a game. Thank you so much, Cindy. Look at Bob over there in the left-hand bleachers over there. I mean, look at him pounding that hot dog down there. Bob, I love you, and I know you live right there outside of Madison, Wisconsin. You come over, and I know you're from Detroit, though, and we really appreciate it. I go, Ernie, how did you know all these guys? He goes, wait a minute. Did you think I knew all those people I was talking about? I go, wait a minute. He goes, absolutely. It was theater of the mind. He would just tell a story. And that's what Vin Scully told me too. Vin is one of the only guys on the planet never to have a partner in the booth with him. And here's a Vin Scully moment. And you're sitting here and you're watching Clayton Kershaw pitch. It's 2-1 right now. By the way, back at Crosley Field, when Sandy Koufax was on the mound at that stadium, it's outside. And Kershaw's 3-1 right now. He's back talking, and then he goes back to Sandy Koufax throwing his perfect game against the Cubs. Those guys were storytellers. We don't have those guys today. Yeah, no. And every one of these men who were on the air back in the day had a signature thing about how they, like, I was friends with Dick Enberg, really great friends with Dick Enberg. And me and Enberg would be talking, and I would be like, Dick, how did you be so versatile? Because you know why? He goes, Dan, just being me, the fans will always tell you at the end of the day, when it comes to like how you're connecting with them. All these guys were talking about connecting with all these communities. And I love that part about all of them. I mean, that's broadcasting to me. Just be you, dude. And that's what those legendary broadcasters, and again, going back to that Field of Dreams, you know what they should have did in the movie? They should have had Vin Scully doing it too. That would have been great, having Vin call. And listen, I get Joe Buck works for Fox, and it was on Fox. I get these debates. But can you imagine if you had Scully call that game? Next year, you should have Vin Scully call that game. That would be so unbelievable. A lot of things going on in our country. We'll talk some sports. We'll reset. You keep it right here on the Dan Sileo Show.